The men's Final Four is here, geographically and time-wise.
And it's over.
Cinderella team and 11th-seeded North Carolina State will face off against number 1-seeded Purdue a little after 3 p.m. tomorrow at State Farm Stadium. And then number 1-seeded UConn will play against number 4-seeded Alabama at around 5:45. Now, the winners of those games face off in the NCAA Men's Tournament Championship game on Monday night. And Vince Marotta, half of the Bickley and Marotta Show on 98.7 FM, Arizona Sports, joins us to talk about the significance of having another Final Four in the Valley and who he thinks will win it all. Does UConn repeat?
It's hard to say no. I mean, I didn't pick them to repeat when I filled out my bracket at the beginning of the tournament, but that's not a shocker because I'm terrible at filling out brackets.
When did your bracket fall apart? Like 10 minutes after you filled it out?
This year I actually went into the second week. I went into the Sweet 16 on Thursday in really good shape, and then it fell apart. So I did better than I normally did. But UConn is they're just killing people. They won 4 games in this tournament. They're averaging 28 points margin of victory. They're playing very confidently, and they're overwhelming favorites to repeat. So we'll see.
When you talk to your fellow sports journalists around the country, do you brag on the Valley for having Super Bowls and Final Fours and stuff? I know it's one of the reasons we were named as one of the top 10 sports cities because of all these big things that we host.
Yeah, I've said it for years, and this was really ever before the Final Four came here. The first time the Final Four was here was just 2017, so this is the second time now in 7 years that the Valley has hosted the Final Four. But in terms of, I do brag on that subject, Jim. I actually, I believe this with all my heart. Now, not in terms of winning championships or things like that, but in terms of options for sports fans, what the Valley can offer. I mean, all 4 major sports, team sports, you got the WNBA, you've got arena football, you've got, PGA golf, LPGA golf.
Minor league soccer.
Minor league soccer. You've got the Cactus League, which only one other state can make that claim for spring training baseball. I think in those terms, yes. And now we're hosting the big events, Super Bowl regular rotation, Final Four regular rotation. WNBA All-Star, NBA All-Stars coming here in a few years. Absolutely, I think this is the best sports town in America.
All right, let's talk about remaining a 4-sport metro area, 4 major sports, because yesterday's report started to bubble up that the Coyotes are looking for a new owner, possibly a new city. Then the team's president, Javier Gutierrez, told our TV partners at ABC 15 that if they don't get an opportunity to build an arena and entertainment district in North Phoenix on state land, they're calling it quits.
This is it. This is the plan, or else we are going to have to explore a relocation of this organization. And we've made that very clear, and I think everyone should be aware of that this is it.
Do you feel like they really mean it this time? And how important is it for Phoenix to remain as one of those 13 metro areas that have all 4 major sports playing here?
I do feel like they mean it this time. This is a saga that is 16 years in the making.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole thing popped up all the way back in 2008 when the Coyotes were still playing in Glendale. There was a new arena in Glendale at that point. Ownership strife, arena strife. You have a commissioner in the NHL in Gary Bettman that has been unbelievably patient with the situation here. But patience always runs out, and it might be running out on the NHL side because there are metro markets that are clamoring to add a hockey team that I think would do a better job of supporting it right now. I think the patience for the ownership, Alex Morello and his group with the Coyotes, has got to be running out too, because they've been steadfast since day one of being committed to keeping this thing in Arizona. I think it's important. I would like to see the Coyotes thrive here because we haven't seen that. When they first moved to town, they played in an arena that had obstructed view seats.
Yeah.
Although the environment was good. Glendale was a great arena, but people didn't go. Now they're playing in a college arena. They've never really had a fair shot from an arena standpoint and an ownership standpoint at the same time.
And it looks like this entertainment district is spectacular, and it's in a pretty good location for a fan base that spans the Valley because it's kind of midpoint.
Yeah, and that was the big stumbling block with the Glendale Arena. And people said that from day one. Are people going to make that midweek trip out to the West Valley? And unless the Coyotes were contending for a Stanley Cup, which has happened exactly once since they moved here, they weren't making that trip. So I agree. I mean, it appears all the ducks are in the row. It's coming down to auction. It's not coming down to a vote, thank goodness, because that would get voted down. So we'll cross our fingers on June 26th that auction goes well for the Coyotes.
Yeah, and no taxpayer dollars involved in this at all.
No.
So actually, they'd be contributing, but through the land auction, they'd be contributing to Arizona public schools. It's in the Arizona Constitution set up that way. So, yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Vince. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll hold you to that UConn prediction.
Now that I've said it, it'll be wrong.
Right.
Thanks for watching. Click to see more from Arizona's Morning News and tap the button in the middle to subscribe.